What is up, guys? Humble Farmer Taiki here, and welcome to this week's edition of Farms of the Week. If you like the content, please like and subscribe, and check out the premium Discord. Link will be in the description below. So the first airdrop farm that I like to talk about is Manta Network. They're aiming to become a ZK EVM using Celestia for data availability. I'll talk about Celestia and the airdrop farming opportunities available in last week's video, so make sure to check it out if you're interested. So going back to this, okay, for some background, I'm sure you all know Blast, which is this layer 2 with native yield backed by Paradigm, except it's not really a layer 2, it's just a multi-sig. And if you send Ether over, it gets staked as staked ETH, so you earn the native yield. And if you send stablecoins over, it gets converted into DAI, and it's earning the DAI savings rate, which is 5%. And on top of that, you'll be receiving Blast points, which will be, which you'll be able to, convert into Blast token whenever it comes out. And they raised, I believe they raised $20 million ish at a $200 million FDV ish. It's not really public, like the valuations and whatnot, but that's what I heard. And they already have $800 million in TVL. And Manta was like, you know what? Like, what the hell? Like, how did they do that? Let's one up them. They recently they announced that they raised $60 million from Polychain, Binance Labs, CoinFund, and others at a $500 million valuation FDV. And they're calling this new campaign New Paradigm. So they're not backed by Paradigm, but it's definitely a new paradigm. That's kind of what they're going for. And this infographic is pretty funny, and it's kind of poking fun at Blast and other L2s. So for example, New Paradigm, it's already a live L2, not a multi-sig like Blast. New Paradigm shares gas revenue. It does this. Blast 100% to devs. Incentives 2 times more substantial. Blast is somewhat substantial. And by the way, it's kind of funny how they singled out Arbitrum in this column here, because Arbitrum can be bucketed as other L2s. And if you look at all these like check marks and like the text, it's the exact same, right? But it seems like the Manta team are savages, or at least this intern that made this is a savage. And they're like, no, like I don't like Arbitrum. let's kind of shit on them here. But anyways, access to your tokens, New Paradigm immediate, Blast in like 10,000 days or something, I don't know. Reward redemption December, May 24, yada, yada, yada. So it's kind of funny. And they're basically doing the same exact thing. And you can go here, right? So, let's actually take it. Let's kind of go back a little bit. So if you go to manta.network, it says that you can, go here and then bridge, and you'll be eligible, or if you bridge, you get 50 million Manta tokens, or you'll earn your share of that. And this is 5% of the supply. So if you think about it, if they raise at a $500 million valuation, the token will probably drop at, let's say, $1 billion valuation, right, at launch, once it gets centralized exchange listings and whatnot. So 5% of that is $50 million. So, like whoever bridges to Manta is going to receive some share of all these Manta tokens. And this is much better, in my opinion, than like Blast, because, Blast, like, there's nothing transparent about this. We have no idea when the L2 is dropping. We have no idea what percent of the supply is being airdropped. But regardless, they have a bunch of crypto Twitter influencers shilling ref links, and then they got this much, right? Which is fine. And then Manta, it's probably like the airdrop is probably gonna be worth more, and they only have $50 million in TVL. I would expect after I drop this video, this thing to just go up a lot, and it's gonna be diluted. But at least with this, you know how much tokens you're getting, and they're claiming that you'll get your tokens, January of next year, right? Phase 1 January, you bridge, and I think you'll receiving points until then. And if you go back to this, right, it's kind of the same thing where if you bridge over funds, you get fixed native yield, which is like Ethereum staking yield, or like the risk-free rate, TVL rate, Manta reward and tokens, and you might get other ecosystem incentives in terms of projects airdropping tokens. I have no idea. I have no inside information. But because layer 2 is actually live, some of these apps are already live, right? Like Dodo is live on mainnet. Some of these are live on mainnet. The layer 2 actually exists, unlike Blast. And I know that a couple weeks ago I made a bullish Blast video, but I'm bullish the idea of Blast, okay, where you have a layer 2 and you distribute yield to its users. Okay, I'm a humble farmer, I'm a yield maxi. I think that's very important. And if Manta is doing the same thing, then yeah, like I'm bullish Manta, okay, like I'm bullish the idea. I'm not really pigeonholed to Blast, okay, like I'm not being paid by them, I'm not an investor, I really don't care what happens to them. But if you're a farmer, like, would you rather bridge funds over to Blast or Manta? I say Manta. Maybe it'll be useful to use some of these applications. One thing I will say is that if you bridge funds over, like through New Paradigm, it gets converted to staked ETH, which I think is called Stone for whatever reason. And Manta uses Ether for gas. So if you want to actually use applications, you have to bridge Ether separately, because the main bridge, that's not the New Paradigm, you actually get Ether. Whereas if you go through New Paradigm, you get staked Ether, which can't be used as gas, if that makes sense. So that's kind of annoying, but yeah, I guess it's kind of funny, right? These infographics here. They have all these investors. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Who cares? So if you want to do this, you can go to the website. You need a ref code. So I'm not going to show my ref code. You can go to Twitter and look up Manta ref link or something, and you'll probably get it. I'll also share some codes from the Discord. I'm just going to talk through this while I scroll down. To be honest, I have no idea which one of them is used and which one is not used. And you don't have to use these either, right? I'm just like going to scroll through these in case you are interested. You got any of you got any more of those ref links? Yada, more ref links. Let me scroll down here. Yeah, so you do need to bridge to get the ref code. If you want to share it with your friends, you get some boxes. I mean, I don't really know what these things are going to be worth anyways. And it also does like the same pyramid scheme. Not pyramid scheme, pyramid structure that Blasted. So if you refer someone and they get points, you get 16% of those tokens, points. And if the person you refers more people, you get 8% of that, right? So, like it's incentivizing you to share these codes, yada, yada, yada. So, like I said, you can either use Twitter to find a ref link, or you can just try one of these. Like I said, I have no idea which one is used or not used, but just wanted to share that with you there. Okay, and if you go back to this about page, it says restaking, and right now restaking is not live yet, at least on Manta, but I do want to talk about restaking. And when it comes to restaking, everyone's talking about Eigenlayer, and I think Eigenlayer is going to be one of the biggest hyped launches sometime next year, partly because they have all these Ethereum influencer investors and whatnot, so it's going to be a lot of mind share and whatnot. But I do think the idea is pretty interesting, where if you like staking, right, if you like yield on your Ether, then you're going to love restaking, right? So you're not only are going to be earning yield on your Ether, but projects that might use Eigenlayer for security might give you additional incentives in terms of tokens. And once in a while, Eigenlayer increases its deposit caps. So I personally have a decent chunk of my Ether in Eigenlayer. It's been there for a few months, and it's also receiving points. And probably the points will be converted into tokens. And today, 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern, the deposit caps are going to increase for all the liquid staking tokens. And they're also going to introduce other LSDs like these. I just have staked Ether in this just because, it's the most liquid. But I would expect this to be filled immediately, probably within, a few hours, at most 24 hours. So if you're watching this video, maybe it makes sense to just prepare your wallet. This is on mainnet only, so the gas fees have been pretty high, but just something to be aware of. They did raise $50 million at a $500 million valuation, I believe, at the bottom of the bear market. And I would also expect this token to be worth at least a few $1 billion at some point. So, at the end of the day, this is farming, right? You plant the seeds and then you reap the harvests later. Farming, at the peak bull market, farming, right? You make a bunch of money immediately. But I think in the past, let's say 24 months, a lot of the farming has been just farm to accumulate tokens or points. And then once you get the points, once you get the tokens, just dump it, right? Once it pumps. That's kind of the humble farmer mentality. And that's definitely the mindset that I've taken for other farming assets. For example, Seamless. So Seamless is an Aave fork that's on base chain. And to be honest, I don't really think this token is going to be worth that much. If you look at the price action, it's been dumped pretty heavily. It's at $835 million FDV, which is pretty insane. I think when all is said and done, this is going to bleed down to, let's say, under $200 million FDV. But in the short term, the like valuation doesn't really matter just because the circulating float is very, very low. So I think this is a prime candidate for a farm and dump. And the reason I talk about this and not other Aave forks is that Coinbase added this token on on Coinbase immediately, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like, why are they doing this? Because it's literally an Aave fork. There's like 69 Aave forks that launch every single month. I would speculate that maybe the base team paid the Aave team to make this, and that way they know that it's safe, and then they can list the token. But I think if you think about second level thinking, it's probable that Coinbase is gonna list other base chain native assets. So, I've been farming Airdrome since launch. There you go. And, it's been down only for a long time. And then recently it's up like almost 4x. I did sell some, but, I'm continuing to farm this thing. If base chain does have its own season, then AERO is going to be the native DEX. I'm not suggesting anyone like buy this token just because there are people like me that's been farming this for months, waiting for the most opportune moment to dump these tokens. But I think if you're a humble farmer, it could make sense. If you want to pair somebody with USDC, earn 23%, etc. These yields are pretty good. In the past, they've had front end issues where their front end got compromised. So it's not the safest thing, I think, but it's the same team as Velodrome, which also has the exact same thing on Optimism, and they're all solidly forks. So and if you look at other base chain assets, Seamless has been, it looks like it's done bad, but the fact that it's still sitting at $8, I think is very successful in terms of launch. And then there's also Toshi. I do not own this thing. Brian Armstrong's cat's name is Toshi. So this is a meme coin, and people speculate that, it might get listed on Coinbase. I have no idea. I do not own this thing. But just, using this as an example to say that there has been some relentless bid on base chain native assets. So I think it's going to be useful to keep in touch with new launches that's going to happen on Base. Who knows, like maybe when Friend.Tech drops a token next year, it's going to be listed on Airdrome, and then Airdrome pumps, and then I dump all my farm tokens. Who knows, like maybe something like that happens. But just keep in mind, sometimes like the tech doesn't matter. Sometimes what matters is distribution, and Coinbase has really good distribution. So if retail comes back, which I think has been happening, maybe base chain assets can be a benefactor. So let's talk about this. So I shared this before, but actually let's talk about this first. So last farm I'll talk about is Vivacity Finance on Kanto. So Kanto is an asset that I'm pretty bullish on, like next cycle, and they're trying to become a real world asset chain. And right now, if you Note is an over-collateralized stablecoin, and you can lend out to your Note to earn 46%, 4.4% in native yield, and then 42% in Kanto tokens. So, it's not, it's going to get diluted fast, but just wanted to bring this up. Okay, so that's it. So last thing I want to talk about, where is this? Yeah, there you go. So recently I've been doing a series called Book Summaries, where I've been spending a lot of time reading books and then summarizing them so you don't have to read them, and then applying some concepts that I think applies to crypto. And I wanted to share this just because, sometimes crypto market pumps, it dumps, and it feels like there's some massive amounts of FOMO. And so this is an excerpt from The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. But in this excerpt, Marks quotes Buffett, where, the best investors are very, very patient. And he kind of talks about this sports analogy where, if you play baseball, and, I used to play baseball as a baseball kid, or like a Japanese baseball kid, but there's this concept of waiting for the perfect pitch. Right? If a pitcher throws a curveball at the bottom half of the zone on the outside corner, you can't do that much damage on it, so just lay it off, right? Just take a strike and then wait for a fastball right down the middle and then take a big hack. But obviously, you can't really do that because pitchers, they're not trying to throw it right down the middle. And if you just watch 3 strikes in a row, then you have to go back to the dugout. But in investing, there is no striking out. Investing is the greatest business in the world because you never have to swing. You stand at the plate, the pitcher throws you Solana at $70, Celestia at $13, Bitcoin at $42,000 or whatever, and nobody can call a strike on you. There's no penalty except opportunity. The only way to get penalized in investing is by buying something that just goes down. I mean, if you're just sitting in all cash and the market pumps 2x, then technically, yeah, you are being penalized because you're underperforming, and it feels really, really bad, right? Especially if you're bullish crypto. But like when it comes to farming, the name of the game is just plant your seeds and then reap the harvest later. And I think that's kind of the idea for Manta Network. Just if you have some Ether is not pumping that hard. It's underperforming. But if you're not going to sell your Ether for the next couple of months, why not just bridge it over to the new paradigm, where you can earn 4% native yield and then some Manta tokens on top. Who knows? Maybe some into Eigenlayer, right? Like why not? You earn 4% in native yield, and then you also get some points on top. If you have some stable coins, why not just deposit into Seamless? 20% on yield. That's pretty good. Vivacity, 46%, like not bad. LPing on a DEX to farm this token that might go up. I have no idea. Could be worth it. There's many ways to make money in crypto. You can just buy tokens at pump. You can just farm and just dump tokens that go up. Ideally, we all do a mix of both. That way, we're earning yield on our assets and also experiencing capital gains on other assets. But I just wanted to share that just because if you think about, my social metrics and retail interest in crypto, this is my numbers for the past 18 months. And it's pretty clear that we've seen some shift in trend, right? Like in the past 18 months, I just lose subscribers all the time. But now, look at this. This is a pretty substantial spike. So I find it hard to believe that retail is not back. I think retail is slowly coming back. You can kind of see this in my views, my video views. Just go to my channel and look at all my videos, and look at the views that I've been getting. The recent videos have been getting crazy views, and I think that's a sign that people are starting to slowly come back. And if that's the case, then there's going to be ample amounts of opportunities in 2024. So the best thing you can do is to just stay humble, just be patient. You can't strike out in investing, and just play your game, right? Just play your game. You're not competing with anyone. We're all operating on our own timeline. We're all operating according to our risk parameters, and you shouldn't listen to me to do something. You shouldn't listen to others to do something. You just need to just educate yourself and then prepare yourself for the upcoming bull market, which I think is happening. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next week, and have fun farming out there.